What's going on, Titan?
What's going on?
Oh, he's such a good boy.
What are you doing? Why are you laying like that? Oh, look at that stretchy. You gonna grab the leaf? What's up? This is the languish of dinner time. Yeah. Weird.
This is the first aid. You have to provide first aid if someone has been hurt. And I'll just let the Max Tomato fulfill that requirement. Part 51 states that you can't be using unstable objects as scaff. I'm going to call all of these scaff because
Okay, so I've been playing D&D for about 7 to 8 years now. There's a little bit of a fuzzy spot because of the time where time did not exist, but it's probably my favorite hobby that I do. It's just a lot of fun to sit around and play D&D with your friends, make up these stories, and laugh and flirt with your friends. Recently, and by recently I do mean the last 6 to 8 months, I decided that I was going to run a campaign super into the future, and my friends and some new people in my life are really excited to play it. We've lovingly referred to it as Far-Flung Future Campaign because it was supposed to be super far in the future. However, I got this little tickle in my brain that I was wanting to plan out an experiment with this new world and this new setting, and so we had all the players make characters super far in advance. They gave me their backstory, I gave them some due dates and stuff like that, and I got to work on it. I started planning it out and getting everything done for it. However, I have been thinking about being a dungeon master for 7 to 8 years, you start to change rapidly. And I think about Matt Mercer and how he is kind of regarded as the perfect DM, even though he hates that. But I've watched Critical Role for about the 9 years that they have been on air, give or take a few months, and he changes all the time. He even from campaign to campaign, he is widely seen in different ways of doing things. He was super stressed in the first campaign. He was super stressed about a lot of things in campaign 1, about learning the new rules and being this standard of how to play in the rules. And then campaign 2, he was really playing in this political thriller, but let go of some of his holdups and stuff like that, and that let him play with the systems. And now we're into campaign 3, where he's just letting a lot of that rules lawyery stuff go, and he's just letting the players have fun, and he's experimenting with these new feats, and he's having so much fun. I can see it in his face when I watch it, that he's just having fun with all the weird things that the players are jumping in on, and it's so much fun. And that's kind of got me thinking about how I want to change going into this campaign, what I want to effectively bring into this campaign, what energy. Because I've been marketing to my players, I guess, that I want it to be silly, I want it to be fun, and I want it to kind of have an air of seriousness, but let everyone have their jokey jokes and have us just have a grand old time. And I've kind of marketed it as a Dimension 20 season, where I'm kind of letting a lot of things come off the rocker and just being a little crazy when we play. But I think in order to do that, I have to bring in some stuff to do that. I have to change my thinking a lot. So I've written down, I have it all right here. I don't know if you can hear that in my little flippy book. I've written down 5 things that I want to bring into the new campaign. I thought I'd talk about it while I prepped some stuff. So let's get into it. Number 1, I'm going to slow down my pacing and let my players choose how fast we move. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot. I've been thinking about this a lot in terms of how I run a game. And I think with a lot of actual plays, there is this big push to get the players to where they need to go in terms of how the game is paced. Like, think about like Dimension 20. You only have like 6 or 10 or 20 episodes to get your players to where you need to go. And so Brennan or Jasmine or Gabe or Abria Iyengar, they all have to kind of give enough information to get them where they're going, because they have to end on some kind of note. They have all these battle maps prepared and they have to go. And like for Critical Role, there's so many episodes that I think that they forget that there is like filler and stuff like that. And there's episodes where they're just shopping or talking, and we're not live streaming. A lot of people are going to play D&D for the rest of their lives, and they're never going to live stream their game. At that point, I really got to question why I'm trying to get my players to a specific point. We're having fun, we're sitting at a table, people are drinking, people are smoking, like, there is no reason that my players cannot dictate their own path throughout the game. And there is no reason for me to get stressed when they are getting exactly what they want out of it. We'll get to my thing. We'll get to the plot point. We'll get to where we're going. It's our story to tell, not my story to force my players into. As a DM, you're there to kind of guide and referee, not to push anything onto the party. As a DM in the past, and DMs that I know, really sometimes struggle with wanting to get to that point. Because they want to, for a genuinely good reason. They're excited to arrive at a very good, cliffhanger, or big reveal that a character's mom is still alive, or, we have these things, but we're not live streaming. We're telling a story for us, and there is a really cool learning opportunity and experience to figure out how to look at those story beats and go, actually, yeah, this is a really good time for this. Maybe you didn't get to the cliffhanger that you wanted, but now you have a really awesome opportunity to start the next campaign or the next session on a bang. You want to get to the cliffhanger that your character's mom is still alive, and oh my god, she's been missing for so long and she's missed so much of your childhood, and then next week we'll pick it up. Yeah, that's it, we got there. But then next week could have started with you discovering the mother, and you could have had that big conversation. And then the end could have been this nice somber note of finding the mom and stuff like that. Like, that's the example I'll use. But yeah, I'm gonna come into this campaign letting my players dictate where we're going. I've set up a very big foundation on how that is. It is up to them. Number 2, I'm gonna take better DM notes. The campaign that we're going into has a lot of structure to it. I've talked about I'm wanting it to have it all finished for the most part by the time we start playing. And I want my notes to be kind of reflective of that. I want to be able to remind me of those week-to-week big changes that I'm going to have to look at. And also, like, keeping track of purchases, or not necessarily purchases, but like on things that are going to take calendar days to complete in the world by NPCs and stuff like that. My notes history has either been like super organized or like entirely lacking. For like looser games, I tend to kind of let it go really early on, because at that point it's not worth it to keep track of everything when we're being silly. And my Star Wars 5e game is like that, where they're just like, can I have this? I'm like, maybe. What's the price? How many days does it take to get this? I don't know, like 3. I'm gonna write that down and forget about it. I'm be like, yeah, I guess this amount of time has passed. But this game is so structured, and it's so, it's so structured that I think I need better way to organize my notes, or I need to do that. And maybe it's time I like develop a new way of taking my notes in order to facilitate that. I'm thinking like probably like a Google Docs might be the way to go. I'm a tactile person. I love notebooks and writing that down, but I just don't think I take fast enough notes by pen and paper that it's worth it. Like, I have an iPad, I have a little keyboard for it. I don't think it's a big stretch to make like some kind of Google Doc template and just go from there, but I just don't know what it is. But I'm almost open to looking at different options for that. Number 3, I'm coming into this game with an extensive love for the world building and the inspiration and how I express that love. I've been having a conversation with a friend about how cool it feels to have like DMs and other people include different things from your own culture into your D&D game. And when it's done with like a kindness and humility, and a willingness to learn, it feels like you are seen in a way. And that was very interesting to me. It's got me kind of a bit jazzed to commit a lot to my world building and not just make it like a melting pot. A lot of my D&D worlds in the past, I wanted to feel inviting and expressive to any culture, anybody that wants to come in and put the themes of, you know, how they grew up and their culture and their heritage into my world and do that. But I feel like because I've kind of let it be open, I've let myself get a little bit lazy with how I develop my worlds. And so for this go around, I've been really interested in kind of delving into and learning about different aspects of life and how people lived, especially like more in times before technology and stuff like that, and how magic would fit into that world. And it's kind of gotten me like really like jazzed to kind of interweave that inspiration into doing that. And I've thought about how it affects my locations and my factions and like where I can pull information and find out new things that I wasn't really aware of. It's been a very interesting process. I'm just getting into the thick of it right now. I'm doing like kind of a ramp up. But I was reading about some different things. I have to be vague here because if my friends that are in the campaign see the video, then a lot of the secrets will be revealed, and I've kept them in secret purgatory for a long time with this campaign, and I'm not gonna let them get little snippets now. But yeah, I've been doing some research, and I have a little. This campaign, I have a little extracurricular project that I'm going to include in my world prep. I have this idea. I'm playing in a Ghibli-themed campaign, and the DM got a Ghibli-themed cookbook for Christmas, and he was like, oh, maybe like if we play in person, we can have a Ghibli meal and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. And then a podcast that I love, Worlds Beyond Number, Brennan Lee Mulligan, Eric Ishii, Aubrey Iyengar, Lou Wilson, they're all doing this thing, and they're doing a Ghibli-themed world, and they have put in their most recent, at time of recording, recent arc, a lot of different foods that the characters have been eating, and then sometimes they experimented and put it on their Patreon, and it's really cool, and it's inspired me in such a way that I think like every like major location I want to find and source a recipe that kind of fits into what the kind of area is based on, so that if anybody wants to kind of have a meal in the kind of feeling and the vibe of the world, they can. And it's, I don't know, it's filled me with a really cool thing. I've gotten to look into some different recipes that might seem a little complicated, but I've found the ability where I live to source the ingredients, to kind of have that like vaguely authentic way of doing things. It's gotten me very, very excited for this world building. It's super exciting to me. I think the cool thing is, like, I was talking to my friend about some of the things I started to look up in vague details because they're in the campaign, but they've gotten excited because I've gotten excited, and I want to like, oh my god, it's kind of gotten me a little academic. I want to like take note and like cite my sources and be like, this is where I got it from, and like if you want to read more, here it is, because I found this really interesting, and it's just got me super jazzed and jived for this new campaign in a way that I haven't had with it just simply being a melting pot. But I want to do it like super respectfully, and part of that is like just kind of letting go of the shame and getting ready to hear criticism if you do it wrong. And it's just, I don't know, I'm super excited. It's something, I love food, so having another way to express how the game feels is going to be really cool. Number 4. Not feeling like I need to change my NPCs to better fit in with my players' expectations or wants or feelings. This was a big title to say, and I have to like super fair, like put a warning up at the front, like within reason. This is a within reason kind of experience. You don't want to push boundaries. What I mean by this is, in the past, I have made NPCs that my players have fucking hated, like right from the get-go, and I don't seem in the moment to know why. There was one character that was a paladin, and she was kind of like a leader of sorts, and the party came and helped her with a thing, and she, in their eyes, took credit for their accomplishment. They just fucking hated her. And she was this courageous paladin, like she doesn't, do anything. And in hindsight, like, she probably could have. This was a couple years ago. Like, this was probably, like, 4 or 5 years ago. It was pretty early on in my, like, DMing in the grand scheme of things. So there was this, like, overall feeling of, like, she took credit. And I, like, super backpedaled, because I didn't want them to hate this character. I like super backpedaled. I was like, no, she's super nice. Like she does this. This is please love this character. And honestly, super not worth it. If you're a DM and this happens to you, if you're a new DM and this happens to you, super not worth it to try and go back. One, I think it super cheapens your ability to create characters. Not every character is going to be loved. We've seen the memes of like, making this really cool, badass, edgy guy that your guys are supposed to go on a quest for, and then they get like super sidetracked by like Mabo the Gobbo, and they just get locked in on this one guy that you make up on the fly, and they're catching on to the fun of the game. You don't have to strive for characters that you think your players are gonna love. That should not be. This is a hot take. I think you should never make a character for the sole purpose that your players are going to love them. You should make characters for what they need to be in the story. And that must be such a cold take now that I've said it out loud. But I think for some first-time DMs or from first-time storytellers or creatives in some capacity, you want people to be invested in what you're creating at any means necessary. And when you feel like your players don't like it, or point blank tell you that they don't like a character, it can feel a little sad because you made it for them. There will be other characters. I promise you this. There will be other characters that they find that they like more, and you weren't expecting it, or maybe you were. It's kind of a crapshoot every single time. The thing that sucked about changing that paladin was I played her as authentically as I could until they told me that they didn't like her because of a reason. And yeah, say she was hogging the spotlight or taking a lot of the credit. That's a character flaw. That's a flaw that they reasonably do not like, but it's a flaw that is there and present, whether I put it there or not. And taking that away from her makes her 2D in so many ways. If they hate them, they can at least be authentic to their design and still hate it. Just like if they like a character, it'll be authentic in their design and they'll like them. This isn't like a video game in the fact that everything is set in stone. Things will change throughout the campaign, and your players are developing their own relationships with these PCs that make sense for their character. And there might be dip in through like meta narrative of like a player really not liking it, so their character really does not like that NPC, but it doesn't matter. Authenticity comes in very naturally when you're not thinking about whether your characters or your players will have a stake in the characters that you make. And I don't want to change NPCs anymore when I, make characters that I like, just because I think that players don't like them. All right, number 5. I'm going to keep my peace when it comes to scheduling. I, as a DM, always break my back when it comes to scheduling. So, I think for this campaign, I will be enacting a full party protocol, which means that anytime a player is missing for like a session, we're not playing. I have many reasons for this, one of which is when you have a player that is gone, even for a session, it's not the same that you explain a plot detail that has happened. It just isn't the same. Like, there is always going to feel like this thing is missing. I've played in campaigns where I've missed a few sessions, and I've come back, and I get everything explained to what has happened, and then forever, when that detail comes back in, I go, oh, that's the session I missed. No matter how much you sit in there and explain, something always feels like it's missing. And I don't want that feeling to happen to players when real life comes in the way. Like, we're all adults, we have schedules that we have to keep, and sometimes, like, games just can't happen. I love when everyone's there, and keeping everyone up to date on that information kind of feels like a miss in my mind. Also, having a full party protocol also means if we miss sessions, there is so much time to prep. I think there's a lot of talk about like DM burnout on the internet, and that's totally valid because I'm facing that all the time when I have 8 billion games on the go. And anytime, oh man, sorry guys, we can't play this week, I always find myself like sighing with relief. Because I'm like, oh, there's another week, like another day I get prepped for that game. That's great. Even if you're playing one game, like, yeah, it sucks to not play D&D, but just like play a different game. Play Among Us. Play fucking Solitaire online. There's a bunch of like Discord games that we've been playing. We've been playing Party Night Poker just because when my internet cuts out in the middle of DMing, they play this game Clunker Strike, which is just Counter-Strike but like Roblox styled on Discord, and they have a lot of fun, and when we hop back in, we play again. So like, have a night where you can just talk and hang out. I promise it'll be fine. 1 week or 2 weeks of not playing D&D is not a problem. Oh my god. I lied! I have a 6th point. I didn't highlight this point. Jesus, I'm gonna highlight it right now. Yay. Bonus 1. Part 6. I'm making player packets, I swear. Every campaign that I start where there's a ton of world building, I feel like I'm constantly throwing new information at my players for places that they've come from, their hometown, the places that they've helped build in some capacity. And because this game is going to have a lot of information just like tied into it, it's like an isekai game. So like there's a couple players that are from a different world, and there's players that grew up in this world. I want to make information packets where they can reference details at that, where it has like location information of where they've come from, on things that they would know, how the rules of the world would work. And I think this is all just valuable information that should be at the player's fingertips. And I have the time to do so now, so why not do it? Do I think this will negate any world question or confusion? No, but I'm hoping it can like alleviate just some of that like question and confusion. I'm also like dipping into collaboration from my players. any time that they talked about like things in their hometown, I wrote that down. And then I had one-on-ones with each of the players in this world, and I said, hey, like, tell me a little bit about the world. Do you know about any main export or anything like that? And they said they would give me some information. If players were wanderers more than anything, then I might give them more details on places that they've been around, or if they were young and left super young in their hometown, I might give them information on like what they had back then. But I want them to just be able to go, that sounds familiar. Let me look and pull up pages or documents on what everything is. So those are my 5+1 things I'm bringing into this new campaign. A lot of it is super exciting for me right now, and I've overlaid a lot of footage of me prepping and planning, but I have to be careful on what I show just in case players are watching. If you are, I hope I didn't give anything incriminating away for this campaign. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but let me know down in the comments, are you starting a new campaign? Or if you want to start a new campaign, what are a few things that you are going to bring into the campaign for yourself? Are you also going to have a full party protocol? Or do you also want to take better D&D notes? Or is there something else that you're not thinking, I'm not thinking of right now? Let me know down below. That's all for me this time. Like, comment, subscribe, and the end.